I'm giving you a thumbs up. So Leah, just make sure you get the notes from someone, okay? As promised, we're going to start our discussion on the American West today. So we finished our conversations on Reconstruction yesterday. Our exam for the Civil War is on Thursday. You guys got the study guide on Friday, so we're plowing right on through. The content that is covered today will not be on Thursday's exam. It will be on your final exam. Just keep that in mind. I'm going to take attendance while Shelby Lynn is handing out our notes sheet, and then we'll get right into it today.
Do we turn in our study guide?
No, your study guide is free. You keep that. Daniel, are you here but hiding?
No, he's always gone.
And if you guys could just take a moment and put away your cell phones, pagers, electronic devices, telegraphs.
Hey, my dad used to own a pager.
Yeah, let me just put my telegraph in my pocket.
If you brought one to class,
Yeah,
still
you
put it
guys
away.
use it often. No way.
Yeah, I'll have to wait to park over it. Huh? Yeah. Turn the paper off.
Okay, looking for the notes?
I got you.
All right, these notes go pretty quickly. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please put your phone away? Thank you. So these notes go pretty quickly. And then we have a brief activity, very fast. And then you guys get a couple of study materials for your final exam as well. So that's kind of what we look like for today. By the end of the day, you should be able to identify some key elements in the lives of Western settlers in post-Civil War America. So we're going to look at very specifically some people who filled some specific occupations. So miners, ranchers, farmers. We'll also look at how the railroad industry impacted all of those professions. Tomorrow, please, tomorrow we'll look into what was going on with Indian removal at the time, the different conflicts that arose between Native Americans and between white settlers. So we'll get more into that tomorrow, because it does continue even after the Civil War. So starting first with popular culture, we don't often think of paintings as popular culture, but they are. There wasn't Instagram then, so if they wanted to make something they wanted to share with their friends about what beautiful things they saw or cataloging different events, they had to do it through paintings. And at the time, paintings emphasized the ruggedness of the West. They emphasized the romance of the West. They definitely romanticized. They made it seem like it was better than it really was. In the upper right-hand corner, that very snowy painting, that is recalling and remembering one of the coldest, snowiest, most severe winters on record in 1885. These are the types of things that were painted. In the lower right-hand corner, it's a group of Native American and white settlers who are making camps, so romanticizing even the relationship between those two groups of people. And on the left-hand side, the bison, who are endangered at this time. There's a lot of overhunting going on, a lot of changing populations that impact that. But this style of painting, this style of American painting, became unbelievably popular at this time. Definitely very romantic. Not romantic in a, kissy-kissy sort of way, but romanticized, and it's like making it better than it is. the west. They got to the west by migrating through the east. So between 1870 and 1900, a 30-year span, we have more than 2 million foreign-born immigrants from Europe. And those are coming to America in general, but also the West in particular. So European immigrants really want to be part of America at the time. Very soon, we'll start talking about the second industrial revolution. We already talked about the first industrial revolution, which changed the textile industry. The second industrial revolution will help encourage a lot of people to come to America in general. But now we have settlers who are attracted by just the resources that are available. The West is still, in terms of its social aspects, it's still very wild. But there is the promise of wealth. There's the promise of making more of yourself than you are. And that comes through gold and silver. You guys already talked about some of the gold rushes in California before the Civil War. After the Civil War, a lot of gold and silver deposits were found in different places throughout the United States. That attracts a lot of people, despite the fact that as an individual, the likelihood of getting rich off of mining is like the likelihood of winning the lottery. It's still very attractive. Cattle and sheep, there's a lot of land that's available for ranching, and it starts to become more profitable at this time. There's also a lot more land that's suitable for farming and agriculture. So opportunity is what calls these immigrants here to the West. We still have a lot of opportunity here in the West. To make that opportunity just a tiny bit sweeter, the government enacts something called the Homestead Act of 1862. So this is the government trying to incentivize or make it better to want to purchase land. So you can buy up to 160 acres of land for a very, very small price, so they're really greatly discounting the price of land, if you promise to do two things. To stay there for 5 years. Well, that's pretty easy, right? If you're going to buy land, you're probably going to be there for a while. Yeah. And you have to improve the land. This is a great way for the government to make some money off of selling the land, to help encourage settlements, and to not have to invest any money in making the land as suitable for human settlements. Because through the Homestead Act, they're encouraging that. Some of the problems with the Homestead Act, though, is it was kind of too good to be true. It ended up putting some settlers in a worse position because that second requirement of improving the land was not always possible. It was also not always easy, even if it was possible. So some things to think about when we think about migration. In order for people to want to come there, there have to be jobs. When we look at labor, there are some pretty key labor issues. A developing economy has a great need for jobs. And as the American economy was developing in the West, there was a huge need for jobs. And most of the jobs that were available were very labor-oriented. There were jobs building the Transcontinental Railroad. There were jobs available in terms of being employed by either commercial miners or by mining yourselves, in agriculture, in construction, in building and settling towns. There were a lot of opportunities. But there weren't very many people who were taking advantage of those opportunities. So there was what we call a labor shortage. There were more jobs than there were people to fill them. If I need 10 people to do a job for me, but I can only find 5, I might offer a little bit more money, I might raise my wages, so I can